Welcome to my channel, detailing tragic events throughout the decades. 2001 September 11th attacks. It was a lovely clear morning on September 11th, 2001, with people going about their daily routine, unaware of what events were about to unfold. On the same morning, 19 men affiliated with Al-Qaeda, an Islamic terrorist network, spread out and boarded 4 commercial airlines. These were American Airlines Flight 11, United Airlines Flight 175, American Airlines 77 and United Airlines 93. These men had made their way past security carrying box cutters and knives, and once the aircraft had departed, it wasn't long into the flight that these men seized control of the aircraft. 8:46 am. American Airlines Flight 11, which has been hijacked by these terrorists, and had been traveling from Boston to Los Angeles, strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. The impact left a gaping hole near the 80th floor, of the 110-floor building. The impact instantly killed hundreds of people, and trapped hundreds more on the upper floors of the North Tower. On the ground, people who had witnessed the plane hitting the tower, believed this was a terrible accident. Emergency services quickly arrived on the scene. Both the South and North Towers began an evacuation. Meanwhile, television cameras were now broadcasting live, what everyone thought was an accident. 9:03 am. United Airlines Flight 175, which had also been traveling from Boston to Los Angeles, strikes the South Tower of the World Trade Center near to the 60th floor. Killings hundreds, and again trapping those on the upper floors. Witnesses were left stunned, as burning debris showered down on the surrounding buildings and onto the streets below. As time passed, people on these upper floors were desperately hanging out of the windows trying to get away from the heat and smoke. In what must have seemed like the most devastating choice you would ever have to make, some people jumped from the building to the ground below, rather than die in the raging fire. The United States knew now that it was some kind of attack. 9:37 am. American Airlines Flight 77, traveling from Dulles, Virginia to Los Angeles, strikes the Pentagon in Arlington. Jet fuel from the Boeing 757 causes a devastating inferno, leading to a portion of the building to collapse. Many of those inside the building were killed, along with those on board Flight 77. 9:59 am. The South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses to the ground, killing those still left inside and emergency service people who were attending the scene at the time. Ben Sliney, Chief of Air Traffic Control Operations at the FAA's Command Center, gave the order to ground around 4,000 planes across the nation and redirect remaining aircraft to the nearest airports in an attempt to stop any more potential hijacking risks. The United States were now in complete shock and disbelief at what they were witnessing. 10:03 am. United Airlines Flight 93, traveling from Newark, New Jersey to San Francisco, crashes in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, killing all those on board. It was later found that those brave passengers on board Flight 93 had found out what had been happening elsewhere, and fought with the hijackers, trying to gain control over the aircraft. Sadly, the aircraft crashes to the ground. Its intended target isn't known, but it is widely believed that the aircraft could have been heading to the White House in Washington, D.C. 10:28 am. The North Tower of the World Trade Center gives way and collapses to the ground, killing those still left inside, and those on the street below. It is reported that only 6 people in the World Trade Center at the time of the collapse survived. It is believed that around 2,996 people were killed in the September 11th attack, with thousands more being injured. After the collapse of the World Trade Center's South and North Tower, along with other surrounding buildings, the search for possible survivors began. It soon became clear that not many survivors would be found. A huge cleanup of Ground Zero began in the days that followed the attacks, and did not end until May 2002. It is estimated that around 1.8 million tons of debris was cleaned away. Bodies of over 1,000 people who were in the World Trade Center were not identified due to the intensity of the building's destruction. As of June 2019, it is reported that around 1,643 of the World Trade Center victims' remains have now been positively identified. After the attacks, for the first time in its history, NATO invoked Article 5, allowing its members to respond collectively in self-defense. On October 7, the US and Allied military forces launched its attack on the War on Terror. On December 13, 2001, the US government released a tape in which Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, takes responsibility for the September 11 attacks. 9/11 is considered to be the single deadliest terrorist attack in history, and is said to have killed more people than the attack at Pearl Harbor in 1941. The National September 11 Memorial and Museum is located in New York City, and commemorates the September 11 attacks, along with the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. It is located where the North and South Towers once stood. Names of all the victims are inscribed on the memorial pools. Inside the museum, which was first opened in May 2014, more than 40,000 images can be viewed. Steel from the original Twin Towers is also displayed. Thousands of people visit the memorial and museum, paying their respects to all those people who were tragically killed on that September morning. One World Trade Center is now the main building of the rebuilt World Trade Center complex in Lower Manhattan, New York City. One World Trade Center is the tallest building in the United States. It stands on the northwest corner of the 16-acre World Trade Center site. Over the years, there have been many conspiracy theories regarding the 9/11 attacks. Whatever you may or may not believe, we must not forget that thousands of innocent people died that morning, and families lost their loved ones. Forever remembering those people who died that September morning. May you never be forgotten. Thank you for watching and learning about these events in history. Please subscribe to my channel to view other tragic events throughout the decades.